I was still peeling off my scrub top when the call came. The screen lit up with Lakeside Elementary, and my stomach dropped. "Ms. Walker?" a woman's voice asked. "This is Deborah from the school office. Lily hasn't shown up today. We haven't received any notice of absence." I froze mid-motion in the hospital locker room, the fluorescent lights suddenly feeling too bright. "What do you mean she's not there? She's with my parents. They were supposed to drop her off this morning." There was a pause. Then the woman's voice returned, quieter now. "I'm sorry, we haven't seen her. We've called the emergency contact, but no response." The phone slipped from my hand and clattered against the bench. I grabbed it, breath catching in my throat, and bolted through the hallway, my sneakers squeaking across the linoleum. It was a 15-minute drive to my parents' house, but it felt like a lifetime. I called both their cell phones, straight to voicemail, over and over again. No answer. When I pulled into the driveway, both of their cars were gone. That alone might have meant nothing on a normal day, but nothing about this day was normal. I sprinted to the front door, fumbling with the emergency key I still kept under the faded ceramic turtle in their flower bed. Inside, the silence was brutal. "Lily?" my voice echoed. "Mom? Dad?" No reply. The kitchen was pristine, the living room untouched. And then I saw it, a single sheet of paper resting on the counter, my mother's precise cursive looping across the top. "Sarah, sorry, sweetie. We just couldn't take care of her. We've arranged for temporary placement until you're available again. Please contact Child Protective Services to make further arrangements. Mom and Dad." My vision tunneled. The paper fluttered in my hand as my fingers trembled. They left her. My parents, her grandparents, had left Lily with strangers. CPS. I called, waited, transferred again. Every second felt like a stolen breath. Finally, a calm woman named Andrea answered. "Yes," she said, clicking through her database. "We have a Lily Walker in emergency foster placement as of last night." "I'm her mother," I said, each word clipped, shaking. "She was staying with her grandparents while I worked. I'm an ER nurse. I was scheduled to pick her up this morning." There was a long silence. "Ma'am, they listed themselves as her guardians and stated you were unavailable indefinitely." "No," I hissed. "That's a lie. I have full custody. I never signed over anything. They were babysitting. We're going to need you to come in with identification and documentation of custody. I know this is upsetting, but please remain calm so we can move quickly." Remain calm. I nearly collapsed in the parking lot. By the time I was sitting across from Andrea at the CPS office, I'd collected Lily's birth certificate, court custody paperwork, and a copy of my hospital schedule, showing exactly where I'd been. "They said I was unavailable indefinitely?" I repeated, still in disbelief. "They knew I was coming back Friday morning." Andrea nodded, jotting down notes. "We're looking into protocol failures on our end as well. This placement should never have happened without verifying guardianship." My voice cracked. "Where is she?" "She's with the Martinez family, licensed foster parents. They've been doing this for over a decade. She's safe." That word, safe, nearly undid me. Mrs. Martinez's home was small but warm, yellow curtains, faint smell of baking bread. She met me at the door with kind eyes. "She's in the backyard with my husband," she said gently. "She's been very quiet." I stepped outside, and then I saw her. Lily, sitting cross-legged in the grass, clinging to her stuffed otter. When she saw me, she launched into a sprint, sobbing before she even reached my arms. "Mommy," she cried, "you came." I knelt, clutching her like a lifeline. "Of course I did. I always will." Between hiccups, she whispered, "Grandma said you needed a break, maybe a long one." I pulled back and looked at her tear-streaked face. "Sweetheart, I would never leave you. Never." Later, inside, Mrs. Martinez told me another truth. "Your parents never said you were coming back. They told CPS they were her full-time caregivers." It hit me like a second betrayal. My own parents didn't just make a bad decision. They made a calculated one. They lied. To me, to Lily, and to the state. That night, as I rocked Lily to sleep in the Martinez's guest room, a notification buzzed on my phone. Jessica had posted a photo on Instagram. Surprise family vacation. So blessed to have grandparents who drop everything for the grandkids. Ohana time? There they were, my parents, beaming, in matching Hawaiian shirts, with Jessica, her husband Brad, and their 2 children. Lily was nowhere in sight. Another photo followed, my dad helping Jackson snorkel, my mom building sandcastles with Madison. A caption underneath, booked 3 months ago, so worth it. They had planned this. While I was on the ER floor triaging accident victims, they were drinking cocktails under palm trees after abandoning my child. And they thought they'd get away with it. They were wrong. If you've ever been overlooked, betrayed, or discarded after giving your all, type 1. Because the people who underestimate your strength are the ones who never see the storm coming. The email subject line hit harder than a punch. Official HR concern. Conduct during emergency leave. I blinked at the screen in disbelief. Still recovering from the emotional blow of retrieving my daughter from foster care, I hadn't even clocked back in yet. The body of the email read, "Dear Ms. Walker, we've received an anonymous report expressing concern regarding your recent personal leave and its impact on professional responsibilities. Please be advised that we expect a full explanation upon your return. Riverside HR Dept." Anonymous, personal leave. I had been working emergency shifts, covering for 2 absent nurses. My leave had been a forced, frantic scramble to rescue my child from a situation that should never have happened. Someone was trying to frame the narrative, and they were doing it from inside my own hospital. "Hey," Kelly whispered as she peeked around the break room corner. "You okay?" "No," I muttered. "They think I took personal time. HR flagged me." Her eyes widened. "You were literally covering trauma shifts. Who reported this?" I didn't know, but I had a sickening feeling it wasn't just coincidence. After dropping Lily off for her makeup session with Mrs. Martinez, I opened Instagram again, searching for answers. I didn't have to dig far. Jessica had posted another update. Mom and Dad treating us to a sunset dinner at Ocean's Edge. Madison's hair braided. Jackson's learning to surf. Family first. Blessed Ohana time. Comments flooded in. Friends, fellow influencers, coworkers. They're the best grandparents. That's what real family looks like. No one knew the truth, that while they were sipping wine on the beach, my daughter was crying in a stranger's living room asking if she had done something wrong. I scrolled through older posts and stumbled upon one from 2 weeks ago that made my blood boil. It was a group text screenshot between Jessica and our parents. "Resort booked. Just need to figure out what to do about Lily." Elaine had replied, "We'll say Sarah needs rest. Social services can handle her for a few days." My hand clenched so tightly around the phone that my knuckles turned white. I took a screenshot and saved it. Evidence. I needed legal backup. I called Rachel. "You've got to be kidding me," Rachel said, her voice laced with fury as I explained everything. "Sarah, that's criminal. Custodial interference, filing false reports, even fraud if they posed as legal guardians." "I don't even know where to begin," I whispered. "Begin by documenting everything. Every post. Every text. Timeline it all." "Already started." "Good. I'll help you prepare a formal report. This goes beyond family drama. It's a legal and ethical nightmare. Also, someone at work might be trying to sink me." Rachel paused. "You think Jessica got to someone?" "I think Brad did, her husband. He works with hospital contracts, right? Corporate counsel?" "Yes, and he's known for playing dirty when family reputation's on the line." That night, as I helped Lily brush her hair, she glanced up and asked quietly, "Am I in trouble?" I knelt beside her. "Why would you think that, sweetie?" "Because Grandma said, sometimes when kids make things too hard, mommies stop wanting them." A sharp pain sliced through my chest. "That is not true. That's a lie someone told you because they didn't want to take responsibility for their own choices." "But she said you needed a break from me." "No, Lily. I needed help. And instead of helping us, they chose something else. That's not your fault. Ever. She nodded slowly, still unsure. Listen, I whispered. You are not a burden. You are the best thing in my life. Okay? She hugged me tight, and I felt her small arms squeeze around my neck like she was afraid I'd disappear. The next morning, I walked into Riverside Memorial with my shoulders squared and head high. People stared. Some nodded sympathetically. Others looked away. In the staff hallway, I caught a whisper. She left her kid with the state, then showed up demanding sympathy? I heard it was a custody stunt. Her ex wants custody now. I stopped, turned. You want to say that to my face? A younger nurse looked startled. I didn't mean, I didn't leave my daughter. My parents did, while I was saving other people's kids in the trauma bay. The hallway fell silent. Back in the break room, Kelly closed the door gently behind us. You're not crazy. Someone's feeding that story. Brad, I muttered. He's on the hospital board advisory. He probably leaked some HR half-truth to paint me unstable. Why? Because I'm challenging the family image. Because they'd rather protect Jessica's picture-perfect vacation than admit they abandoned my daughter. Kelly nodded. Then let's flip the script. How? We go to your union. You tell your supervisor. You document it all. You've got receipts. I looked at my phone, at the saved screenshots, the timeline, the falsified report. I'm done staying quiet, I whispered. That afternoon, I met Andrea from CPS again. She pulled out a file. We've reviewed the intake forms. Your parents listed themselves as guardians without submitting documentation. That's a procedural violation. We're investigating further. They lied, I said, and it wasn't the first time. Andrea's eyes softened. We can connect you with a family crimes unit if you want to press charges. Let me talk to Detective Marcus Hall. I'll make the call. As I left the building, my phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Hope you're happy. The police contacted Mom and Dad at the resort. You're embarrassing us over nothing. I stared at it, cold fury tightening in my chest. I texted back one sentence. It wasn't nothing, and this isn't over. If you've ever had your story twisted by the very people who should have protected you, type 2. Because when the lies pile high enough, all it takes is one truth to make them come crashing down. The subpoena came in a plain manila envelope, delivered to my mailbox like any other piece of mail, but it carried the weight of everything I had been holding in. Inside, a court summons for a preliminary custody hearing, filed by Anthony Rivera, my ex-husband. Under grounds, it read, concern over recent instability in the child's environment. My blood ran cold. This man, who hadn't seen Lily in months, who hadn't paid child support in over 4, was now claiming he could offer a more stable life? I picked up the phone and called Rachel. He's trying to take her. She didn't miss a beat. You let me handle the legal side, but emotionally, you need to prepare for war. The courthouse lobby was cold, sterile, and full of people pretending not to eavesdrop. Anthony stood across the room with a new haircut, clean shave, and his lawyer beside him, someone I recognized from a billboard promising to protect father's rights. His performance had begun before we even entered the courtroom. When the doors opened and the judge's clerk called our case, my legs felt like lead. I held Lily's daycare records, therapist notes, CPS reports, and, most damning of all, dozens of screenshots. Anthony didn't look at me as we sat down, but he knew I was armed with truth. Judge Franklin sat high behind her bench, silver streaks in her tightly pulled hair, eyes sharp and utterly unreadable. Ms. Walker, she began, flipping through the case file. You are currently the sole legal custodian, correct? Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Rivera, you're requesting emergency shared custody on the basis of maternal unavailability. That's correct. His lawyer chimed in smoothly. Our client believes the recent incident, where the child was placed into emergency foster care, demonstrates a concerning lack of support and planning by the mother. I clenched my fists. With respect, Rachel replied. The mother was working triple shifts in a public hospital during an interstate trauma crisis. The child was placed in foster care under false pretenses by non-custodial relatives. not through any negligence on Ms. Walker's part. Judge Franklin nodded slowly. Let's unpack that. Ms. Walker, can you explain how your daughter came to be in state custody? I stood. My voice didn't shake. I asked my parents to care for her while I worked. They agreed. Without informing me, they flew to Hawaii with my sister's family and left Lily with CPS, lying that I was unavailable indefinitely. I was back within hours. I have documentation. Rachel handed the judge a thick folder. Inside, the Instagram posts, CPS intake forms, text messages, booking confirmations, all time-stamped, all damning. Judge Franklin turned a page, raising a brow. So blessed to have grandparents who drop everything for a family vacation. She looked up. Mr. Rivera, did you provide alternate care during this time? Anthony shifted. No, Your Honor. I didn't know it happened until later. You didn't know your child was in foster care? His silence said it all. In the hallway outside the courtroom, Anthony finally pulled me aside. You're making me look like a deadbeat, he snapped. I have a right to be part of her life. I stared at him. You had that right every time you ignored her birthday. Every week you didn't call. Every month you skipped child support. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I'm not just fighting my parents, I said. I'm fighting the entire idea that Lily doesn't deserve better than lies and absence. He didn't speak again. Back at the hospital, I returned to a new slap in the face. Hey, Sarah, my supervisor Jennifer said carefully. We need to talk about something sensitive. The HR investigation. Apparently, Brad, Jessica's husband, had raised concerns that I might have violated patient privacy by using hospital email during my personal crisis. I laughed bitterly. I didn't even check my hospital email during that time. Jennifer leaned forward. He submitted a printout. It shows your username logging in from home the day after Lily was taken. What? My heart sank. She handed me the printout. There it was. S. Walker, riversidememorial.org. Login recorded at 7:02 p.m. That was impossible. I was in the CPS office that entire evening. Rachel's voice echoed in my mind. He's known for playing dirty when family reputation's on the line. Can I request a forensic audit? I asked, pulse racing. To verify location data and IP logs? Jennifer blinked. You want to claim it was forged? I want to prove it was manipulated. Someone accessed that account without my consent. Rachel filed the audit request the next morning, citing potential digital impersonation and internal data abuse. We suspected Brad had used Jessica's admin access. She used to work PR contracts at the hospital to cover their tracks. The investigation would take time, but for the first time, they were on the defensive. That night, I sat beside Lily as she wrote in her journal. Are they in trouble? She asked softly. Yes, I said. Not because I want revenge, but because what they did was wrong. Did you ever do something wrong and nobody punished you? She asked. I smiled sadly. Yes, but I learned, and I made sure I never did it again. She nodded. Then maybe they should learn too. The next morning, I received a text from Jessica. You're tearing this family apart. And I replied with just one line. You did that the moment you chose silence over Lily's safety. If you've ever watched people twist the truth to protect themselves while punishing you for surviving, type 3. Because sometimes the only way to defend your name is to let the receipts speak for themselves. The courtroom was full, but the silence was louder than any verdict. Judge Caroline Reeves looked down from the bench with a gaze that could cut glass. Then she said something I wasn't prepared for. Miss Walker, your daughter Lily has requested to speak, if the court permits it. For a moment, time stopped. I turned to Lily, who stood beside Dr. Harmon at the side of the courtroom. My little girl, just 8 years old, clutched a small notebook and looked directly at the judge. She understands she doesn't have legal standing, Dr. Harmon explained softly, but she wrote something she'd like to read, and it may help all of us understand the emotional damage this case has caused. Judge Reeves nodded once. Proceed. Lily walked forward, tiny sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. She stood, took a deep breath, and opened the notebook. When you left me with strangers, she read, voice trembling but clear. I thought it was my fault. I thought I did something bad. Grandma said maybe I was too much work, that sometimes mommies don't come back. But Mommy did come back, right away. She always does. She loves me even when I cry, even when I make a mess, even when I ask a lot of questions. You made me feel like I wasn't important, like the vacation was more special than me. That hurt a lot. I'm still sad, but I know now it wasn't my fault. I'm working on forgiving you because that's what Dr. Harmon says helps me feel better. But I need you to understand how scary it was to think nobody wanted me. The room was silent, the kind of silence that sucks the air out of your lungs. My parents stared ahead, blank and motionless. Jessica had tears in her eyes but kept her arms folded tightly. Judge Reeves cleared her throat. This court finds the actions of Richard and Elaine Walker deeply troubling, she began, her voice flat but firm. This was not a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a deliberate deception with consequences that extended far beyond legal inconvenience. It impacted the emotional safety of a child. While criminal proceedings are being handled by the appropriate jurisdiction, this court recommends a permanent protective structure to ensure the child's continued well-being. She paused. Then, do the grandparents have anything to say? My father stood. For once, he didn't have a rehearsed defense. I was wrong, he said quietly. About everything. We treated Lily as a burden when she was the only innocent person in this mess. We were selfish, and I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say it out loud. My mother rose too, gripping the bench for balance. We never meant to hurt her. No, Judge Reeves interrupted. But you did. And now it's about repair, not intentions. After the hearing, outside the courthouse, the air was thick with tension. Jessica approached me. I didn't know they didn't tell you, she said. They told me you had approved it, that Lily was staying with a friend. I didn't think to question it. I studied her carefully. No, you didn't. She bit her lip. What happens now? That depends, I said, on whether you want to be Lily's aunt or just my parents' daughter. She opened her mouth, then closed it. 2 weeks later, during a supervised visit at the family therapy center, Lily brought her drawing pad. This is Grandma and Grandpa on the beach, she told Dr. Harmon, showing a crayon drawing. And this is me with Webster, her stuffed otter, in the corner, watching them from far away. Why are you so far? Dr. Harmon asked gently. Because that's where they put me. That night I cried again, but not because I was broken. Because Lily was brave enough to process what most adults never could. Work brought unexpected grace. After weeks of strain and whispered gossip, my supervisor Jennifer called me into her office. You've been through more than most people can imagine, she said, but you handled it with integrity. I'm recommending you for a leadership role, training and resilience coordinator. I blinked. Wait, what? You've shown exactly the kind of judgment, crisis response, and emotional intelligence we want guiding new staff. And frankly, I think some of our leadership could learn a thing or two from you. For a moment, I had no words. Then I nodded. I won't let you down. We hosted Lily's 9th birthday 2 months later. No grandparents, no pretenses, just friends, chosen family. Kelly and her daughter Emma brought glitter cupcakes. Mrs. Martinez dropped by with a telescope she'd saved up to buy. Even Rachel came by with a signed book about strong girls who changed the world. As Lily stood in front of the cake, decorated like Saturn, rings and all, I whispered, "Make a wish, explorer." She closed her eyes, breathed deep, and blew out all 9 candles in one breath. Later, I asked what she wished for. She smiled. That we stay like this forever. Just the people who love each other. 1 week later, I received an email from HR. Subject: Internal investigation. Conclusion: the IT audit had come back. No unauthorized login under your credentials was identified from your devices during the alleged timestamp. The access originated from an IP address associated with a separate administrator account. The report has been forwarded for further review. Brad. It was him. He'd used Jessica's clearance to frame me. I sent one reply, "Thank you for confirming what I already knew." Then, I blind forwarded the audit report to a journalist I trusted from the local paper. The story was no longer just about betrayal. It was about system abuse and internal retaliation. Let the public see what the polished surface had always hidden. 2 days later, Jessica texted, "You leaked that report, didn't you?" I didn't answer. She followed up, "You're tearing down everything." I finally responded, "No, I'm cleaning up what you refuse to see." If you've ever had to fight for the truth while others hid behind their comfort, type 4. Because silence protects no one. And when the final statement is written, let it be this: she never gave up, and neither did her daughter.